Hi and welcome back to the Spruce Grove Public Library's YouTube channel, SGPL Library Kids. So I am Sarah, the Children and Youth Services Librarian here at the library, and we are continuing our reading adventure, reading this book, which is Love, Hate and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. So we have been reading this for our Global Read Aloud pick for this year for our teen level books. We also read A Boy Called Bat, which is for the chapter book level. So we've been reading that one as well on this channel. So if you're interested, then go and watch all of those videos and enjoy that one too. And we're also reading some of the picture books, so we have those as well if you want to take a look. So we're going to continue today with chapter 20. So before I start, if you haven't already joined us, do go back, watch the other videos, catch up with the story, and then carry along with us today. So, chapter 20. I duck out of the backyard and through the neighbour's lawn and onto the street, my elbow wrapped tight in a cloth bandage. My hair is tucked into a baseball cap. My old school Wayfarers cover half my face, and resting my left hand on the handlebars, I grimace through the pain. Pedaling down Main Street, I figure I'm in the clear when I turn to take the road onto Old Route 72, heading straight for the Fabian Forest Preserve. A few cars whiz by. I gulp the air as the breeze hits my face, and despite my loaded backpack, I'm light and free from the gravity's anchor. I cycle faster into my freedom, tiny beads of sweat popping up on my upper lip and brow, first hot and then cooled by the wind. I try not to think about what will happen when my parents discover I'm gone. My whole life is thinking. I don't want to think anymore. I push harder, pedal harder, and the wind blows off all my old scorched feathers and my new wings let me soar. The no trespassing sign in front of the Japanese garden eases me to a stop. I walk my bike around the skeletons of dead trees and desiccated vines onto the dirt path into the woods. Coming up to the stone cottage, I inhale the mossy loaminess, and my muscles relax for the first time in weeks, maybe months, and I approach the entrance slowly. The door creaks on its hinges, opening to a dishearteningly empty room. I came here to be alone, but was secretly hoping I wouldn't be. It's early evening, and the inside of the cottage is dusky from the fading light rests at the top of the trees. I fling my backpack onto the lazy boy and pull out its contents, a towel, my swimsuit, dry clothes, and the sling for my stupid arm. A couple of sandwiches, a book, a charger, disposable contact lenses and saline, my glasses, a toothbrush, toothpaste, antibacterial gel, and my meds. But no camera. My police still have my minicam, and the other one adds too much weight. Sweaty from the bike ride, I dare myself to a quick solo swim. My arm throbs as I undo the bandage on my elbow and struggle into my bikini. The woods are more menacing than I remember. Of course they are. I've never been here this late before, or alone. Tiny waves flutter over the surface of the pond. Phil's little blanket of beach awaits me. I leave my towel and sneakers on the sand and wade in up to my waist. Besides the slight stirring of the wind through the leaves, there is no sounds. I'm alone. Literally, metaphorically, and in all other ways I don't know quite how to name. I inch forward, urged on by the pond's lovely coolness against my bruised and tired skin, and a curiosity to see how far I will let myself go. The water ripples in arcs around my body as I creep forward. Swimming isn't an option with an injured elbow, but I might be able to float with my left arm resting on my stomach. I shouldn't drown. I'm 90% sure the odds are in my favour. And with the water chest high, I push myself up and onto my back, my right arm bobbing at my side. Letting my neck relax, I open my eyes. I float in the delicious stillness of the world around me, briefly forgetting every moment that brought me to this one. A branch cracks in the distance and I pull myself to standing. Goosebumps cool my skin and the encroaching gloam calls me to the shore. As I rush back to the cottage, the towel pulled tight around me. I imagined a series of newspaper headlines appearing in the air above me. Light bulbs flashing and popping like a 1940s black and white crime scene. Humphrey Bogart smoking in the background. I run into the cottage and shut the door. No lock. Dripping across the warped wooden slats, I searched the small back utility room for something to jam against the door. The old boards that Phil apparently uses for firewood aren't long enough to wedge beneath the doorknob and the floor. I scan the room. My eye falls on the recliner. It's the heaviest thing in the cottage, and I put my shoulder to the footrest of the chair and heave, grunting. As I push the chair towards the door, with only a few feet to go, I look up and pause. Bathroom, damn it. I pull a few tissues out of my backpack and step outside. In a few minutes, it will be completely dark, and once I secure the chair against the door, I can't imagine walking back out there to pee. I'm not about to go the Laura Ingalls Wilder nighttime bedpan route. So I go around to the back of the cottage, though no one is there to spy on me, and I pull down my bikini bottom and squat, forcing myself to sing, so I can relax enough to go. I allow myself a chuckle at this absurdity, already missing the wonders of modern plumbing, and I walk back to the cottage. Before I lodge the chair against the door, I pull the lever at the side to set it to full recline. The chair will be my desk, lock, bed, and entertainment centre for the night, so I want to make it as comfortable as faux cracked leather allows. Using only my good arm is awkward, but I stack firewood at the sills of the 2 windows that are missing their panes. With my rustic security system in place, I change out of my wet bikini and dry off, and pull on a t-shirt and yoga pants. The cottage is dark, but I find my way to the flashlight Phil keeps on the mantel. I hunt for the lantern and matches, and I spot them in the back room. The lantern is actually battery operated. I'm going to alternate between the lantern and the flashlight to conserve power. I light the candles above the mantel. If Phil was here, flickering candles and dancing shadows might be romantic, but I struggle to picture this place as anything but menacing. Though the evening is balmy, I shiver, overtaken by a slight chill, and I throw on a hoodie over my tea and unroll the sleeping bag Phil keeps in the corner. I unleash dust and a mustiness scents the air, but my thread count options are limited, so I unzip the sleeping bag and spread it on the chair, and then inflate the camping pillow. Using the mirror for my half-empty compact, I remove my contacts and push my glasses onto my face. Stepping into the middle of the room, I look around. I'm pleased with my handiwork. My arm stings, my shoulder aches, and the bone bruise on my thigh is now an ugly purple black, and I'm hungry. I take a painkiller with a tiny swig of water and scarf one of my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. While standing in front of the fireplace watching the candlelight flicker against the glass of my votive candles, I figure the candles have an hour or 2 of life left. Yawning, I head to the recliner, placing the lantern at my feet and pulling the sleeping bag around me. Drawing my legs to my chest, I rest my chin on my knees and begin to cry. A montage flickers in the darkening room. Brian, Phil, the dream-crushing rules of my parents, kids in senior hall leaning together whispering, the pitying stares, and I take off my glasses, wipe my palms over my eyes and let them close, grateful that the painkillers will dull all the aches with sleep. The golden morning light enters the cottage through the crevices in the wood piles I stacked on the window ledges. I rub my eyes and move my head from one shoulder to the other, stretching my stiff neck. The lantern faded out in the middle of the night, and using my right hand, I pivot the recliner away from the door, in time for me to run out behind the cottage to pee. This time, I don't need to sing to distract myself, but I know an extended stay at the cottage will be impossible from the plumbing point of view. I'm tempted to call home, but my phone is dead. Apparently chargers are useless without actual electricity. For breakfast, I devour the other PB&J from my backpack, along with a can of peaches from Phil's stash. I switch into shorts and a t-shirt and sit in the recliner thinking. The good daughter in me knows I should head home. Maybe I still have a chance to slip back unnoticed, but I don't want to. Guilt digs its claws into me, but if I go home, confessing my lie before figuring out some astonishing clever next steps, I'll be under total house arrest until I turn 18 in June, and then the great American emancipation of 18 offers few alternatives for me. There's no way around it. I'm totally dependent on my parents for college tuition. Even if I work full-time all summer, and with the money I've already saved, I won't have enough to live on in New York for 3 months, let alone pay for school. I can't go home, not yet, not without a plan. But right now, I need more supplies, like food, especially potato chips, because nothing tastes better with stress than salt. There's an old garage station and mini-mart a mile away down Route 72. My parents never go there. It's 9 a.m. I'm too afraid of wiping out on my bike with the groceries. If I walk, I can be there and back in an hour. And then I can stay put in the cottage. Once my parents realize they've been duped, there'll be no doubt be an all-out search, and they'll probably call for the police. I fled yesterday because I didn't want to think anymore. In retrospect, further thought might have been helpful. The one pump station feels ominous. It feels like a gas station in The Birds. and I'm even eyeing the old man in the red plaid shirt at the counter with suspicion. If I see a canary in a cage, I'm running. I scurry up and down the aisles, piling things into a red plastic basket, and I dump my supplies on the counter. Travel-sized toothpaste, shampoo, soap, a big bag of salt and vinegar potato chips, a can of Coke, a litre of water, 2 Snicker bars, a loaf of bread, peanut butter, strawberry jam, Twinkies, gum, batteries, an apple, and a plastic rain poncho. And the man slowly rings up each item on the antique cash register and then places it in a paper bag. I tap my foot impatiently while I peer out of the plate glass windows and scan the sky for seagulls. "Be careful, dear," the man says as I step out, and the bells attached to the door jingle. I feel guilty for painting him with my paranoia. With a half-mile walk to the cottage, the skies open up. By the time I walk in the cottage door, water permeates my bones and a pain pierces my thigh. I heave my backpack onto the counter, unload it, and scarf down some food. The chips are mostly crushed, and the burn and tang of the salt and vinegar sates me as I gulp down the Coke. I inhale half the bag, and my hunger allows me to temporarily forget that my left arm is on fire. I find a shake-activated ice pack in Phil's first aid kit and hold it against my left elbow. When Phil shares his desire to be an EMT, it seems strange to me that he would ever have to hide a part of himself. But we all have secrets, hopes that stay locked deep inside, trapped by our fears of the world's judgment. The cold pack makes me shiver, and I realize I should have changed out of my wet clothes before eating. Slipping them off with one hand, I leave them to dry on the mantel. And dressed in my bra, underwear and flip-flops, I step outside to let the water wash away the dirt, pain, and bitter disappointment that courses through my body. I close my eyes to the sky, the rain falls on my face, and each drop pushing the only possible answer to my question deeper into my skin, into my muscle memory so my courage won't falter when I need it most. I have to face my demons, and I can't do that from a cabin hidden in the woods. The rest of the afternoon unwinds in slow motion. I wrap myself in a towel and crawl onto the chair, draping the sleeping bag around me. The rain slows, and beads of water collect in the palms of green leaves in the trees, trailing to the edge of each leaf and plopping onto the earth. My heart beats in tempo, and I close my eyes and drift off. It's late afternoon when I wake, and the sun emerges from the clouds, highlighting the green all around the cottage. The shadows from the trees shift in the soft light, and the wet smell of earth infuses in the air. Without my camera or functioning phone, I look out the door and etch the scene in my mind. An impulse draws me to the pond. Not bothering to change into my swimsuit, I hurry along the path, hoping to edge out dusk. Leaving my shoes in the sand, I creep into the pond up to my shoulders, my bra and underwear sticking to my goose-pimply body. The storm has churned up thick, dark water, and the mud oozes between my toes. And I visualize a million leeches crawling up my legs and digging their suckers into my skin. I make a beeline for the shore, gross, and I brush away my illusory bloodsuckers. I speed back to the cottage, resolving to face my parents. It's the only choice, but the horror movie suspense build-up scene I've manifested distracts me. A girl walking in the woods alone, half naked, as the late afternoon sun plays with the light. Twigs and branches crack in the distance. No one is here. My thoughts don't reassure me, but soon, for better or worse, I'll sleep in my own bed and use a real toilet. Parental authoritarian rule comes with creature comforts. The cottage door is ajar, and I stop. Every hair on my body stands on end. I'm sure I closed the door, but maybe I didn't. My brain feels fuzzy, and my thoughts are thick. I can't remember what I did before leaving for the pond. A part of me wants to run, but the other part, which envisions sprinting down the road in nothing but a wet bra and underwear, decide the wind pushes the door open. My heart thuds against my rib cage, and I stand on the threshold listening to my own breathing. Closing my eyes, I recount Wes Craven's rules for surviving a horror movie. Maybe being a virgin is going to pay off after all. Virgins always survive. And I place one clammy palm against the grain of the door and push. The creak of the rusty hinges startles me even before I can react. I have an intruder. "Phil," I gasp. "Maya, Jesus, are you okay? Half the town is looking for you." I've never seen Phil's face look so drawn before. His eyes are dull with dark circles under them. He tries to smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. And I take a few hesitant steps towards Phil, who stands at the fireplace. I know, I'm fine. I needed time to think. Phil, I'm sorry for everything. This could not be a perfect, fine, freeze-frame ending. Except it's not. So I watch the scene unspool. I'm the audience staring at the big screen, and Phil takes 3 steps towards me, wraps his right arm around my waist, and pulls me to him. His left hand cradles the side of my face, his warm lips kiss mine in a frenzy, and I hug his neck with my right arm and balance on my tiptoes to reach his lips. The worn weave of Phil's jeans rub against my naked thighs, and I picture us in a black and white movie, lovers about to be separated by war and continents and the rat-a-tat of machine guns. And my lips part as they graze Phil's. Every blood vessel under my skin expands, throwing off heat and warming the space between us. Phil brings his hands to his hips, to my hips, and pulls me closer still. Ow, I gasp, breaking the seal of our lips and taking a half step away. I'm sorry, did you not want... No, I mean, yes, it's my arm. It still hurts from you know? Crap, I mean, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking, I was mainly doing. And Phil glances away, a faint red appears on his cheeks. I'm the blusher, remember? You're kind of blushing all over. And Phil's eyes look at my exposed skin, and I'm suddenly aware of how little I'm wearing. Oh my God, I forgot. And I snatch my jeans and hold them to my chest. Can you turn around? Phil grins, but complies. You know, I've actually already seen you in your underwear. And I quickly slip into the last of my dry clothes. I quietly walk back to Phil and run my fingers from his shoulder down his arm and into his hand. He closes his fingers around mine and raises my hand to his lips and kisses my palm. Phil moves his face closer to look into my eyes. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, but the timing, I kind of screwed that up. And your parents, I'm guessing they wouldn't exactly approve. I'm pretty much be facing deportation to India. Speaking of them, your mum's frantic. We need to get you home. I know, but can't we stay? Please help me ignore reality a little longer. And Phil finally pulls apart from me. I shiver in the sudden cold, and he walks over to the chair and takes the sleeping bag and spreads it out on the damp pine floor and then lies down. I take my spot next to him, resting my head on his outstretched arm. I like what you've done with the place, he said, but why did you come here? I shrug. I didn't have any place else to go. I guess it was stupid, but I couldn't be home anymore. I couldn't breathe. And when I woke up yesterday, my mum told me I'd have to stay home and commute to school. No way, I can't. It's not even Brian attacked me and someone vandalized their office, but I'm the one facing the consequences. That was Brian too, he confessed to everything. My breath catches. What? How? That video you took while he was harassing you was enough to show that he lied, that it was more than words, that it was assault, and it pretty much saved my ass too. But why would he? I don't know the whole story yet, but my dad talked to the lawyer this morning, and then the police came to the house, and I guess they're still sorting it out, but I'm off the hook. I turned on my side to face Phil and draw my arms across my chest. I'm so sorry you had to go through all of that because of me. If I had only... No, none of this is your fault at all. If anyone is responsible for not stopping him sooner, it's me. What do you mean? I've been trying to tell you this. I should have told you before. My pulse pounds, and I don't know what he's going to say, but I kind of don't want to hear it. I just want one perfect moment, but this isn't going to be it. I take a breath and put my hand on his arm, and I give him a little nod to continue. You know how he was being all weird with you at the bookstore and at school? Yes, if by weird you mean an arsehole. Yeah, pretty much. And remember how I told you he's been that way since the end of the football season? Since he got benched, right? It wasn't about being benched. He was benched for behaviour, not skill. His brother served in Iraq and he came home around halfway through the season. He lost a leg over there, IED, and he blames me. I know, he said. It's not that. I mean, his brother came out to talk to the team one day about leadership and loyalty and counting on each other. He's this total stand-up guy. And I said something to Brian about how his brother was an American hero. I actually said those words because it's true. But Brian got pissed about it and shoved me off. I didn't make a big deal about it or anything. It's his brother, not my situation. But then the next day I heard him talking to Josh and Brandon after practice. They thought they were alone, and Brian said some really awful things. What did he say? He said some pretty horrible things to me too. No, it was worse. what he joked about doing, the words, some of them, one of them. I've never used that word in my life, and I should have stepped up, said something right then and called Brian out. I'm the captain, and that's part of the responsibility. I should have talked to Coach, and I mentioned it to Tom, and he brushed it off and said I should forget about it. Just Brian blowing off steam. You know, locker room talk, Tom said, but that kind of talk, it's not okay anywhere. I should have known better, and I did know better, and I did nothing. And now, look at what he did to you, I feel like I've been punched in the chest. Phil can't look me in the eye. How do you know that I was in trouble anyway? His voice is strained. I saw you walking towards the food court when I was on the Demon. So I ditched the guys after and headed back to find you, to talk to you. And then I heard you scream. My eyes are wet with tears, and I can see now that Phil's are too. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't shown up. I tried to fight him off. I could have ripped Brian's head off when I saw that he hurt you. I should have. I probably would have too if you hadn't stopped me. I could have prevented it, stopped the whole thing from happening. That's doubtful. I can't get the image of him trying to hurt you out of my mind, and that makes two of us. Phil clears his throat and wipes his eyes. I'm so sorry, Maya. And we're quiet for a moment. I'm wrapped in Phil's arms, and I feel like I have so much to say and absolutely nothing to say. Like I'm full and sort of hollow at the same time. Endings, beginnings. And Phil kisses me on the forehead. A tear rolls down my cheek and onto his arm. He rubs the tear trail on my face with the back of his index finger. He kisses my neck, and I fall closer to Phil, and he gently pushes me on top of him. My hair falls across his face, and he gently pushes me on top of him. I kiss him, deeply and softly. I'm not sure what is real anymore. I want the world to fall away so I can live in this exquisite moment, where I don't have to think or hurt, where I can simply feel the heat of our bodies and breathe in the sweet smell of his cologne until I pass out and wake up in the fairy tale where reality bends to me and where this is our happy ever after. And that's the end of our chapter for today. So thanks for joining us, and we'll read some more soon. And if you want to get a copy of this book, then come see us at the library and we'll get you a copy.